She doesn't want more words. She wants the one sentence that changes how she feels about you. Most men miss it. They talk too much, try too hard, and chase approval. They flood her with compliments that sound like everyone else. Then they go home wondering why the energy died, replaying every line, telling themselves they should have been taller, richer, or 20 years younger. The problem is not your height or your bank account. The problem is your language. In female psychology, small phrases carry big weight. The right words signal confidence, selectivity, and calm. They make a woman feel seen without putting her on a pedestal, and when you deliver them with the steady energy of a stoic man, they land. You say less and mean more. In this video, I will give you 10 precise phrases that open doors. You will learn when to use them, how to pace them, and what to avoid. So you never sound needy or scripted. We will focus on timing, tone, and the brief pause that lets the message breathe. No tricks, no corny pickup lines, just clean language that shifts the frame in your favor. If you are a man in your 30s, 40s, or 50s who is tired of mixed signals and wants clarity, you are in the right place. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss tomorrow's lessons on self-mastery and relationships. Today we start with the first phrase and why it quietly changes everything. Let's get into it. You have a unique way about you. Number 1, you have a unique way about you. This phrase may look simple on the surface, but when used with intention, it has real weight. Women hear compliments all the time. You're beautiful, you're sexy, you look amazing. Those words wash over them because they're predictable. But when you say you have a unique way about you, I like that you step into rare territory. You're not commenting on her appearance, which every other man notices. You're pointing out her essence, something deeper, something that makes her wonder, what does he see in me that others don't? Let me give you a real example. David, 57, from Illinois, was out for dinner with a colleague named Claire, 52. They weren't on a date, but the energy was playful. Claire laughed at a story in a way that was almost musical, different from what David had heard before. Instead of complimenting her looks, he paused, looked at her with calm presence and said, "You have a unique way about you. I like that." Then he stopped talking. Claire froze for a second, then smiled, wider than before. That night, she told him she couldn't stop thinking about that line. Why? Because it wasn't about the surface. It told her she was being seen. The key is timing. You don't blurt this out at the start of the conversation. You wait until she shows you something authentic. Maybe the way she tells a story, the way she gestures, or how she reacts when she's relaxed. Then you drop it calmly with a steady voice. That pause after "I like that" matters. Silence makes it sink in. Women crave recognition of qualities that others overlook. It's not flattery, it's validation of her uniqueness. And when you do it with composure, it doesn't sound like a line, it sounds like truth. But here's the trap. Don't over-explain, don't follow up with. What I mean is you have this charming way of no that kills the mystery. You want her imagination to do the heavy lifting. When David stopped after saying it, Claire spent the whole night trying to figure out exactly what he meant. That's the power of restraint. Psychology backs this up. We remember people who make us feel distinctive. If every compliment is about beauty, you're replaceable. If your words highlight something rare, you become rare in her mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you give her a thought that no one else has planted, it colors how she sees herself and how she sees you. That's not manipulation, that's insight. Now, don't fake it. If you don't genuinely notice something unique, don't say the line. Women sense performance. The strength comes when you're present enough to actually see what others miss. Presence creates authenticity. Authenticity creates attraction. So here's your move. Watch closely. Notice the little things others overlook. Then, when the moment feels right, deliver the phrase slowly. Let the silence carry it and resist the urge to explain. Less is more. If you understand this, drop it in the comments. I see uniqueness. It's your reminder to stop giving surface-level compliments and start speaking to what really matters. And keep watching, because in the next part, we'll look at a phrase that flips the frame completely, where you stop trying to be chosen and start showing that you are the one who chooses. I like women who know what they want. Number 2, I like women who know what they want. There's a moment in every interaction where you sense she's testing you. She might ask a question about your plans, your goals, or even what you think about her. Many men panic and rush to say whatever they think will please her. But here's the truth. When you say, I like women who know what they want, you shift the entire frame. Suddenly, you're not the one scrambling to qualify yourself. She is. Think about what that phrase communicates. It tells her you value clarity, confidence, and direction. You're not chasing her approval. You're showing that you are selective. Women are used to men who bend themselves into knots to keep them happy. But when you calmly say, I like women who know what they want, you signal that you have standards too. That's rare, and rare is powerful. The Stoics understood this idea long before modern psychology. Epictetus once said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. What does that mean here? It means you stop trying to control her reactions. Instead, you focus on what you stand for. By openly admiring women who have direction, you align yourself with freedom. You're not trapped by her opinion. Now here's the key: tone and timing. This isn't a line you deliver with arrogance. It's not a jab and it's not a test. It's a calm observation. You might say it after she shares a strong opinion, or after she talks about a decision she made with conviction. That's when it lands. You're acknowledging her strength without losing your own. And notice what happens next. Instead of relaxing, she often leans forward. She wants to prove that she's that woman. She'll share more, reveal more, and invest more. Why? Because she doesn't want to be seen as uncertain in your eyes. That's the psychology of desire at work. By holding a standard, you invite her to rise to it. But here's the mistake to avoid. Don't say it if you don't mean it. If you admire women who know what they want, live that way yourself. Women can spot the gap between words and reality. If you're unsure of your own direction, the phrase loses its impact. The Stoics would remind us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius's words apply directly. Show, don't just say. This phrase also has a hidden benefit. It removes neediness. When you openly value decisiveness, you communicate abundance. You're not desperate for attention, you're looking for alignment. That subtle shift changes how she sees you. You become the man who chooses, not the man waiting to be chosen. So practice this. Wait for the right moment. Deliver it slowly. Then pause. Watch how her energy changes. She'll reveal more of herself because she feels challenged in the best way. If you've ever wanted to, flip the script in your favor. Try this line. And if you understand the power of it, write in the comments, I value clarity. It's short, strong, and it reinforces the mindset you want to build. And stay tuned, because in the next part we'll go even deeper. You'll learn how to use a phrase that removes pressure from you completely while making her feel chosen, in a way she rarely experiences. Number 3, that's what I like most. That's what I like most about you. About you. Every man has said, "I like you" at some point. But here's the twist. When you add, "That's what I like most about you," you stop sounding generic. You turn an ordinary moment into something personal, specific, and magnetic. You're showing that you see her not as just another woman, but as someone who has a distinct quality that stands out. Let's make this real. John, 52, had been seeing Melissa, 49, for a few weeks. They were having coffee on a quiet Sunday morning. Melissa leaned back, laughed at a sarcastic comment, and then rolled her eyes playfully. Most men would just laugh along. John didn't. He looked at her, smiled, and said, "That's what I like most about you." He didn't over-explain. He didn't list traits. He let the phrase hang in the air. Melissa froze for a moment. Then she tilted her head, curious. She asked, "Really? What do you mean?" John shrugged, leaned back, and sipped his coffee. The conversation kept flowing, but something shifted. She couldn't stop, circling back to what he meant. Was it her humor, her confidence, her energy? She spent the rest of the day replaying that moment in her head. That's the power of mystery combined with recognition. Here's the key. You don't need to outline every reason. The line works because it's vague enough to spark her curiosity, but clear enough to feel genuine. Women are constantly trying to decode men, and this phrase gives her something to decode. Now, let's break down why this works psychologically. First, it's selective. You're not saying, "I like everything about you." That's overkill and sounds needy. You're saying there's one thing that stands above the rest that sets you apart from men who pile on shallow flattery. Second, it's specific without being boxed in. She'll want to know which it you mean, and that keeps her thinking about you long after the moment ends. But timing is everything. Use this phrase when she reveals something authentic, her sense of humor, her outlook on life, or the way she reacts under pressure. Dropping it too early sounds fake. Dropping it too late feels like a strategy. It has to flow naturally, as if you just noticed something about her that hit differently. The mistake most men make is explaining too much. If John had followed up with, "That's what I like most about you," your sarcasm, your style, the way the magic would have died instantly. Mystery makes it linger. The pause does the work. Less is more. And here's the deeper Stoic truth. Control yourself, not her reaction. The goal is not to make her gush on the spot. The goal is to plant a seed that grows when you're not around. As Marcus Aurelius put it, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Give her a thought about you that she can't shake. So, here's your action step. Stop with the predictable, "I like you." Next, time when she shows you something genuine, look at her calmly and say, "That's what I like most about you." Then pause. Don't explain. Don't fill the silence. Let her wonder. If you get this, drop it in the comments. I keep it simple. That's your reminder to use fewer words, but with more impact. And keep watching, because in the next part you'll discover a phrase that removes pressure, lowers her guard, and makes her feel safe enough to open up in ways she never has before. Number 4. You, Paul. You make things easy to talk about. Make things easy to talk about. When a woman hears this line, something shifts inside her. Most men try to impress her by dominating conversations, flooding her with stories, or steering topics into shallow territory. But when you say you make things easy to talk about, you are not only complimenting her presence, you're acknowledging the comfort and flow she creates with you. That changes everything. Why does this work? Because comfort is rare. Many women feel they have to put on a mask when talking with men. They guard their words, test reactions, and worry about judgment. When you tell her she makes things easy, you're signaling that her presence lowers your guard in a way that feels natural, that makes her feel powerful without you losing yours. Here's the deeper psychology people bond over: shared ease, not forced effort. The more natural the exchange, the more attraction grows. You're planting the idea that she isn't just attractive, she's magnetic because she creates an effortless connection. The Stoics understood this principle well. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." What does that mean here? It means most of our tension comes from anticipation, imagining judgment, fearing rejection. By telling her she makes conversation easy, you free her from that weight. You give her permission to relax. That relaxation becomes chemistry. Tone is critical. Deliver it calmly with steady eye contact, almost as if you're noticing it for the first time. This is not a pickup line, it's an observation. Say it too eagerly and it sounds like flattery. Say it slowly with composure and it feels like truth, and then do less. Don't pile on with explanations. Let the line breathe. The silence afterward is what makes her replay it later. She'll wonder why you feel that way. She'll start to notice the flow between you more consciously. That's where the bond deepens. What makes this phrase even more powerful is its subtle shift in frame. You're not the one bending over backward to keep things alive. You're simply pointing out how natural it feels, and by doing that, you anchor her in the same feeling. Attraction grows when she associates you with ease rather than pressure. Now, let's address the trap. Don't fake this. If the conversation feels forced, don't use the phrase. Women sense dishonesty faster than men think. The power lies in presence, actually noticing when the connection flows naturally, and then naming it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This applies perfectly here. Only use this phrase when it is real. When you mean it, it hits hard. So here's your move. Next time you're in a moment where the conversation flows and feels effortless, pause, look at her and say, "You make things easy to talk about." Then let it sit. Don't over-explain. Don't chase her reaction. Let her feel the weight of your words. If you understand the power of this, write in the comments, "I speak with ease." It's short, strong, and reinforces the mindset you want to carry. And before we move on, I want to invite you to join the membership. Inside, you'll get exclusive lessons, deeper strategies, and private insights that don't appear in these videos. If you're serious about mastering relationships and Stoic strength, this is where you level up. Hit that join button today. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go even deeper. You'll see how a single phrase can shift the way she respects your mind, not just your presence. Number 5, I respect the way you think. This line cuts deeper than looks. 5, I respect the way you think. Charm or surface attraction. When you say, "I respect the way you think," you're telling her that her mind, not just her body, has value to you. For women, especially those who are used to being praised only for appearance, this phrase feels rare, and rare creates impact. Let's bring this to life. Mark, 55, was out with Laura, 51, at a local wine bar. They had been talking about careers, family, and the shifts that come with middle age. Laura shared a strong opinion about how she rebuilt her life after a divorce. Most men would have nodded, smiled, and maybe tried to outdo her with their own story. Mark didn't. He leaned back, listened fully, and said calmly, "I respect the way you think." Laura paused. She looked at him differently. After that, not because he agreed with her, but because he recognized her perspective. He wasn't trying to win points. He wasn't trying to impress. He simply acknowledged the strength in her thought process. That respect gave her a sense of being seen on a deeper level. Here's why this matters. Women constantly get flooded with shallow praise. You look amazing. You're gorgeous. You have a beautiful smile. While those compliments are nice, they fade quickly. Respect for her thinking stands out because it touches the part of her that drives decisions, values, and identity. When you highlight that, you show her you're a man who looks beyond the obvious. But here's the subtle power. You're not saying, "I agree with you." Agreement can be empty. Respect is bigger than agreement. You may not share her opinion, but you acknowledge the clarity, the logic, or even the courage behind it. That's what makes the phrase powerful. Let's tie this to psychology. People remember those who validate their deeper selves. When you recognize her mind, you become memorable in ways other men aren't. She starts to see you as someone who listens with intention, not someone waiting to talk. Timing again is key. Use this phrase after she shares something personal, something thoughtful, or even something you may not fully agree with. Drop it calmly. Don't over-explain. If you say, "I respect the way you think," because and go on too long, you lose the punch. The silence after the phrase makes it land. Mark's story proves this. After he said it, Laura leaned in more. She started opening up about things she hadn't shared with anyone in months. Why? Because respect builds trust, and trust opens doors to deeper intimacy. Here's the mistake most men make. They use compliments as a strategy instead of as a reflection of genuine presence. If you don't really respect her thinking, don't fake it. Women sense falsehood quickly. The power comes from actually listening, noticing, and then naming what you see. So, your move is simple. Stop trying to impress with grand speeches. Instead, listen. When she shares something with weight, look at her pause and say, "I respect the way you think." Then, let the silence do the work. If this resonates, write in the comments, "I value depth." It's your reminder that respect for thought is more attractive than shallow praise. And don't go anywhere, because in the next part we'll explore a phrase that cuts through all the noise, a phrase that tells her she doesn't have to perform or prove herself because you already see something real in her. Number 6, you don't have to try so hard. Don't have to try so hard. This phrase is powerful because it does something most men fail to do. It gives her permission to relax. Women often feel pressure to perform, whether it's looking perfect, saying the right things, or keeping up an image. When you calmly say, "You don't have to try so hard," you remove that weight. You signal that she's already enough in your eyes. That's rare, and rare gets remembered. Why does this work? Because women are used to men adding pressure, not removing it. Most guys want her to keep performing so they can keep being entertained. You're flipping the script. Instead of feeding the performance, you shut it down and invite authenticity. You're telling her that the real, unpolished version of herself is the one you're drawn to. This hits deeper than it seems. It touches her insecurity. Even the most confident women question whether they're enough. When you drop this line with composure, you answer that unspoken question. And when a man answers that without being asked, attraction grows in silence. The Stoics had a similar teaching. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the right to live as we wish." What does that mean here? It means true strength is creating space where she feels free to be herself. No masks, no act, no endless profs. Enki. You're offering freedom by saying she doesn't have to try so hard. That's a gift most men don't give. Now, timing is crucial. You don't say this when she's actually putting in effort for Shalnan. something important like her career or her passion. That would sound dismissive. You use it in those lighter, personal moments when she's overcompensating. Maybe she's over-explaining a story, dressing up her words, or trying to impress. That's when you lean back, steady your tone and say, "You don't have to try so hard." And then stop. Don't explain. Don't soften it with "what I mean is you're already beautiful" or "funny." The silence afterward is what makes it powerful. She'll replay it in her head and realize you see past the effort to the essence. That's where the attraction builds. Here's what happens next. She relaxes. Her guard drops. She starts showing you sides of herself she doesn't show to others. Why? Because she feels safe enough to stop performing. And that safety is intoxicating. Women don't chase men who pressure them. They chase men who give them relief. But here's the trap. Don't fake it. If you say this without meaning it, it backfires. Women are incredibly sharp at sensing insincerity. The Stoic reminder here is Marcus Aurelius's line, "If it is not true, do not say it." Use this phrase only when you genuinely feel she's overdoing it. The authenticity is what makes it land. This phrase also repositions you as the calm center of the interaction. You're not scrambling for her approval. You're not feeding her performance. You're grounded, and grounded men are magnetic. So here's your move. The next time she's trying too hard to impress, lean back, breathe and say, "You don't have to try so hard." Then let it sit. Don't rush to fill the silence. The pause is where the magic lives. If this resonates, drop it in the comments. I choose calm. It's your reminder that attraction isn't about pressure, it's about presence. And don't go anywhere, because in the next part, we'll break down a phrase that exposes her real self even more, while showing that you value the authentic version of her over any mask she wears. I like the real you. Number 7. I like the real you. This phrase is one of the strongest tools a man can use because it strips away the performance and speaks directly to authenticity. When you say, "I like the real you," you're not praising her looks, her charm, or her effort. You're praising her essence, the version of her that comes out when she's not trying to impress anyone. That's rare, and that's what makes it powerful. Let's make this concrete. Richard, 53, had been dating Emily, 48, for a few weeks. At dinner one night, Emily was dressed up, polished, and carefully presenting her best side. But later, when they were walking to the car, she laughed uncontrollably at something silly and let her guard down for a moment. Richard stopped, looked at her, and said calmly, "I like the real you." Emily froze. She had heard compliments about her looks, her body, her clothes, but this was different. For the first time, she felt like someone noticed the woman behind the presentation. The moment stuck with her. She later told him that this one line made her feel safe enough to be fully herself with him. That's the essence of this phrase. It breaks down the wall. Women carry pressure every day to be perfect. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect responses. When you cut through that and show appreciation for her unpolished side, you give her permission to exhale. And when she relaxes, that's when attraction deepens. But timing is crucial. You can't use this phrase when she's obviously putting on a show. That will come off as sarcastic or dismissive. You use it in those little moments when she makes a goofy face, when she tells a raw story, or when she lets out a laugh that isn't polished for anyone else. That's when it lands. The psychology here is simple but powerful. Everyone wants to feel accepted for who they really are. Most men focus on external traits because they're easy to notice, but the man who sees behind the curtain becomes unforgettable. When you point out the real her, you separate yourself from every other man who only comments on her performance. Richard's story shows how this works. After he said it, Emily started showing more of her natural side. She became more affectionate, more open, and less guarded. Why? Because she felt safe being herself. Safety is the soil where desire grows. But there's a trap to avoid. Don't use this phrase too often. If you say it every time she laughs or relaxes, it loses weight. The power is in its rarity. Say it once in a moment that feels genuine, and then let her carry the thought. That's what makes her replay it later, wondering why those words felt so different. So here's your move. Notice when she lets the guard down. Instead of rushing past it, pause, look her in the eye and say, "I like the real you." Then stay silent. Don't explain. Don't overdo it. The stillness is what makes her lean into the words. If this resonates, write in the comments, "I value realness." That's your anchor to remind yourself never to settle for surface-level connections. And stay tuned, because in the next part, we'll flip the script again. You'll learn how to show her she's not just different from the crowd. You'll make her feel it in a way she can't shake off. Number 8. You're different from Tatant. Asantus. 8. You're different from the rest. The rest. Every woman has heard "you're beautiful" or "you're amazing" more times than she can count. Those lines barely register anymore, but when you say "you're different from the rest," you force her to pause. It's not about beauty, charm, or status. It's about identity. You're telling her she stands out in a world where most people blend in. That's why this phrase works. Psychologically, women crave distinction. They want to feel chosen not just for looks, but because they bring something rare to the table. By saying, "You're different from the rest," you flip the script. Instead of chasing her, you're showing that you've noticed something unique, something that separates her from the endless line of others. It's recognition without pedestal. The key is delivery. Say it too lightly, and it feels like empty flattery. Say it with gravity after, observing something real, and it sticks. It could be her perspective, the way she carries herself, or the way she reacts under pressure. The power is in linking your words to something authentic. Here's where Stoicism adds depth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you tell her she's different, you're shaping the way she thinks about herself around you. You're planting a color in her mind that won't wash away. And because it feels distinct from the usual noise, she'll replay it long after the conversation ends. But there's a subtlety here. You're not putting her on a pedestal. You're not saying you're better than everyone else. That's a trap, because it creates pressure. Instead, you're acknowledging difference, an uncommon quality. That's what makes it believable. That's what makes it magnetic. Now, timing. Use this phrase when she reveals a trait or perspective that surprises you. Maybe she's unbothered by something that would upset most people. Maybe she shows strength in a way you didn't expect. That's when you lean in, slightly lower your tone and say, "You're different from the rest." Then stop. Let silence do the rest. Here's why it lingers mystery. She'll wonder what exactly you mean. Was it her confidence, her calm, her honesty? By not spelling it out, you give her something to decode. Women think more about men who give them puzzles than men who give them answers. This phrase also positions you as selective. You're not impressed by everyone. You're not desperate for connection. You're a man who notices subtle distinctions, and that's attractive. Most men throw out blanket compliments. You of fur, precision, that's the difference. But here's the trap. Don't use it on autopilot. If you tell every woman she's different, it becomes meaningless. The Stoics would remind us. Epictetus said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want your words to carry weight, they have to reflect genuine observation. Otherwise, they're just noise. So here's your move. Pay attention. Notice the small things others overlook. Then, when the moment comes, deliver the phrase slowly. You're different from the rest. And then, stay quiet. That silence is where desire grows. If this makes sense to you, write in the comments, "I value distinction." That's your reminder that real attraction comes from recognizing what sets someone apart. And stay tuned, because in the next part, we'll explore a phrase that flips the frame entirely. One that makes her realize the impact she has on you even when she doesn't see it herself. You don't even realize your effect. Number 9. You don't even realize your effect. This phrase works because it points out something women often overlook: the impact they have on others without even trying. Most women are aware when they look good or when they've worked to impress. But what they don't always see is how their natural presence shifts. A room stirs energy and captures attention. When you calmly say, "You don't even realize your effect," you make her stop and think in a way that's unforgettable. Let's make this real. Daniel, 54, had been spending time with Sarah, 50, a friend of a friend. One evening they were at a small get-together. Sarah wasn't dressed to impress, just casual clothes, no makeup, hair pulled back. Yet she was lighting up conversations with her humor and calm presence. Daniel leaned in during a quiet moment and said, "You don't even realize your effect." Sarah blinked, surprised. She laughed and asked, "What do you mean, Daniel?" Just smiled and shook his head. He didn't explain. He didn't kill the mystery. For the rest of the evening, Sarah was noticeably more aware of herself. She wondered what Daniel saw that she didn't. That's the power of this phrase. It plants a question she can't answer, so she keeps replaying it. The psychology is simple. Most compliments target the obvious: beauty, clothes, achievements. Few men highlight the unseen impact, the way she makes people feel, the energy she brings, or the influence she doesn't even notice. When you do, you separate yourself from every other man. But delivery matters. This line only works when she's being natural. If she's obviously trying to impress, it feels fake. Use it when she's unaware of how magnetic she's being. When she's laughing, connecting, or just being herself, that's when it lands. Notice what happens after. She'll want to prove you right. She'll replay the moment, wonder what exactly you saw, and lean in to see if she can uncover it. That curiosity keeps you in her mind. You've given her a thought that won't go away. Here's the trap to avoid. Don't over-explain. If Daniel had said, "You don't even realize your effect. People like you because you're funny and confident," it would have lost all power. The mystery is the magic. You want her imagination working overtime. This phrase also repositions you. You're not acting starstruck. You're not feeding her ego in a shallow way. Instead, you're calmly pointing out something deeper, her unseen influence. That shows you observe more than the average man. Women respect that kind of presence, and here's the deeper truth. It's not just about her, it's about your ability to notice subtleties. The Stoics taught us to look beyond appearances and see the essence. When you say this line, you're practicing that discipline. You're not dazzled by the obvious, you're tuned in to the invisible. So, here's your move. Wait for those moments when she's being effortlessly herself. Then drop the phrase slowly, deliberately. You don't even realize your effect. Then stop. No explanation. No rush. Let her sit in it. That pause is where the attraction grows. If this clicked for you, write in the comments, "I notice presence." That's your anchor to remind yourself to pay attention to what others miss. And don't leave yet, because in the final part, we'll look at the ultimate phrase, one that captures the essence of Stoic confidence and shows her that the man who needs less always ends up being the one who gains more. Number 10. I choose. 10. I choose you, not because I need to. You, not because I need to. This final phrase carries a weight that most men never realize. It's not just words, it's a declaration of freedom. When you say, I choose you not because I need to, you're reminding her that your life is full, your identity is complete, and your happiness isn't dependent on her. You're with her because you want to be, not because you have no other choice. And that difference is everything. Here's why it matters. Most women are used to men who orbit around them out of need. They need validation, they need affection, they need companionship to feel whole. But when you show up without that desperation, you stand out instantly. You're not chasing because of emptiness, you're choosing because of abundance. Think about the psychology. A relationship based on need feels heavy. It creates pressure, expectations, and silent resentment. But when it's based on choice, it feels light, refreshing, and full of possibility. A woman senses the difference immediately. She can feel whether you're with her because you must or because you truly want to. The Stoics understood this dynamic long before modern psychology gave it a label. Epictetus taught that we should wish for things to happen as they do happen. In other words, we find peace when we stop clinging and start embracing what is freely given. When you choose a woman without the weight of need, you embody that philosophy. You're not clinging to her, you're embracing her presence as a gift, not a lifeline. Now here's the subtle power in how you deliver this phrase. It's not meant to be cold or attached. It's not a weapon to make her feel less important. It's meant to communicate clarity and strength. You're letting her know that she adds to your life, but she doesn't define it. And strangely enough, that makes her want to be part of it even more. Picture this. A man says to a woman, I don't need you, but I choose you. At first it might sound like rejection, but when it's said with calm conviction, it becomes magnetic. She hears that you're stable, grounded, and confident. You're not a man who's desperate for attention. You're a man who values himself enough to be selective, and that selectiveness makes your choice more meaningful. Another layer to this is respect. Women respect men who operate from abundance. If you've built a life of purpose, discipline, and inner strength, your choice carries weight. You're not just filling a void, you're sharing your journey with someone worthy. That's rare, and rare always draws more attention. But here's a warning, you can't fake this. If your life really is empty and you're pretending to be independent, she'll feel the cracks immediately. This phrase only works if it reflects reality. That means building a life of value on your own, your work, your friendships, your health, your purpose. When those are solid, the phrase becomes natural truth. The deeper message here is freedom. Relationships rooted in freedom thrive because both people are there willingly. There's no suffocation, no silent bargaining, just two people walking together out of genuine desire. That's the essence of this phrase. So when the moment is right, drop it with calm certainty. I choose you, not because I need to. Then let it hang. Don't explain. Don't justify. The silence after is part of the power. She'll understand exactly what you mean, and this is where it all comes together. Everything we've talked about, silence, strength, mystery, purpose, scarcity leads here to the point where you can stand as a man complete in himself and still open enough to choose connection. That balance is rare. That's why it's irresistible. Remember, the man who doesn't need to hold on tightly is the man who never has to beg. He's already whole. And that wholeness makes every choice he makes more powerful. So take this final phrase, live it and mean it. Because when you can look a woman in the eyes and say, I choose you, not because I need to, you've already stepped into the kind of masculine strength that women can't resist. Conclusion. You've just discovered the kind of words and the kind of mindset that shift everything in how a woman sees you. These aren't tricks, and they're not lines you memorize. They're truths you live by. When you carry yourself with strength, clarity, and freedom, women feel it. And that's what sets you apart from every predictable man out there. If you're ready to go deeper and take this to another level, consider becoming a channel member. That's where I share exclusive content, strategies, and insights I don't put out anywhere else. It's designed for men who want to master themselves, master their relationships, and live with real purpose. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way, you never miss the daily videos that keep you sharp, strong, and one step ahead in life and relationships. Thanks for spending this time with me today. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.